A lot of people don't understand how a vehicle is not only a tool, but it can also be used as a weapon. It's funny how people think that guns are the problem in this, fucking country, when a lot of people don't realize that anybody can take a car, and when kids get off school, they can use that vehicle and mow down just as many people as a gun can. If you don't know this already, Arizona has this thing called the move over law, and it's a very serious thing. And, well, in late 2005, a new law went into effect referring to as the Move Over Law, ARS 28-775E-1-2. The law was drafted as a result of the increase of the number of injuries and fatalities to those working to protect the public, police officers, and emergency personnel. But that's not the only case. Other people, like tow truck drivers and random people helping other people out as an act of kindness, does get hurt and killed over the time. Getting back to the story, the move over law gets its name from the idea of having drivers safely merge to an adjacent lane on highways with two or more lanes proceeding in the same direction when police or emergency personnel are stopped near or on the road. Now, I've seen this a lot with tow truck drivers, even people that work at Love's, when people are on the side of the road and they need help and they call Love's and they say, hey, we're going to need your help. People don't fucking move over. I've witnessed it myself because I have orange and white emergency lights on my truck, and, well, that's the thing. People just don't give a shit nowadays. The law recognizes that sometimes it is not possible or the second lane just does not exist to move over. Those situations call for reduced speeds and proceeding with extreme caution. Having the safety margin protects police officers and emergency personnel and reduces your risk of causing a deadly collision. Please take the time to read this page, which will be linked in the description. If a person driving a vehicle approaches a stationary authorized emergency vehicle that is giving a signal and displaying alternately flashing red and blue lights, the person shall do one of the following. If on a highway having at least two lanes proceeding in the same direction as the approaching vehicle, proceed with due caution and, if possible, with due regard to safety and traffic conditions, yield the right of way by making a lane change into a lane not adjacent to that of the emergency vehicle. If changing lanes would be possible or unsafe, proceed with due caution and reduce speed, maintaining safe speeds for additional things. Now, that, I'm sure, protects those like us civilians, which I'm about to read to you, which is basically the same thing. Arizona move over laws aim to protect law enforcement officers and the people moved in an accident. It also covers anyone parked on the shoulder of the road. When a person stops on the shoulder of a busy highway, their risk of injury increases dramatically. Lawmakers wrote the move over law to protect every motorist, whether they be a driver or a disabled vehicle or personnel responding to an emergency with lights flashing and safety gear. Arizona Move Over Laws. In 2005, Arizona established the Move Over Law. The law was an attempt to reduce the number of traffic fatalities involving tow truck drivers, construction workers, and emergency personnel with flashing lights who park along the side of the road when assisting a motorist. In 2011, an amendment to the law added any motorist who had turned on their flashing hazard lights. The law requires that you vacate the lane nearest the vehicle with the flashing lights, then move to the next line. If you can't vacate that line, you must reduce your speed until you are safely past the vehicles in question. So as you're seeing in the video and the pictures, these people would just stare. They wouldn't give a shit. They would just look at us. That person, I'll just keep doing 65 miles an hour because this is the road to Chera Vista and I got to keep doing it. But one semi that you'll see actually fucking passed and actually slowed down. But of course, that semi, and you see how bad it shook the fucking truck. Again, that is fucking risky and that is bad, and it's stupid for people to stay in that single fucking lane. Hey, I get it. I totally understand if you were thinking about moving over, but you can't, and you don't want to slam on your brakes just to move over and pick up speed. Slow the fuck down because someone is on the left side of you. Great. Slow down because I understand you can't move over, but that doesn't give you the right to keep going the fucking speed limit when my life is at risk or someone's kid is at risk. There's a guy in Benson, Arizona named Danny Haro. Was a really good guy. He was loved by many others. Worked for a tow truck company. And he knew the risks like anybody else does. A firefighter going into burning buildings and tight spaces knows the risk. An EMT person that is going to a gunfight trauma scene, someone that could be bleeding and spits in their mouth on accident with blood, that could have, AIDS or anything, knows the risk. A law enforcement that has targets on their backs know the risk. And guess what? A lot of people that tell me, I'm thinking about going to law enforcement. Are you sure? Are you really wanting to go into law enforcement? Oh, yeah, I think it'd be a great career. You realize you have a target on your back as soon as you go in. Not a lot of people like law enforcement, but the others do, and they like you. So one night, or one day, whichever it was, Danny Haro was on a tow truck scene. and a rumor has that a box truck sideswiped him and killed him. Well, guess what? That's murder. They apparently left him a "I apologize, I sideswiped you" note, and then they took off. And I really hope I don't find this fucking person, because it's gonna suck. If they turn themselves in, oh, they're safe. They're very safe from me. But if they don't turn themselves in and I find them, there's severe consequences. So both his son, that didn't care about him, or his sister, and both his sister had to actually go to the autopsy or whatever it was to identify him and pay their last respects before, they put him in a coffin and everything. And the funny thing about that is their fucking family tried to sue the tow truck company at the time they tried to sue the tow truck company. It said that it was their fault, which it wasn't. The safety gear that he was wearing was good. They said the tow truck lights weren't working, and that's why the person didn't pull over, but lawyers and everybody was there to activate the lights, make sure everything is working, and they got the money out of it, but that's not about the story. Imagine putting your fucking feet in someone else's shoes. What if it was your kids on the side of the road? Now, in that video, luckily it was my dad's rear right tire. What if it was his left tire? What if it's his front or back, left tire? What if your kid was one of their left tires, and out of nowhere they thought they pulled over enough, but their tire was barely next to the white line, and they thought they had enough room to do it, but some vehicle sideswipes your kid and fucking kills your kid, leaves a "I'm sorry note, I didn't mean to kill you," or "get better," and then takes off, but they fucking murdered your kid. That's bullshit. So because of Danny Harrow's death, each driver that didn't move out of the lane that I got on video and pictured, I hold you accountable for his death. My girlfriend got pissed off because while the vehicle was approaching us and didn't move over, I went over to the white line and I kept flagging him over. And if I remember correctly, they went over, but she got pissed off and said, "You're putting yourself in harm's way. You being in the truck, you're in harm's way. Every time you get pulled over and an officer has to talk to you, there's times where they'll have you vacate the vehicle because, yeah, look on YouTube. There's officers that talk to people in a car will hit the squad car and back into the, other person's car, and that's just something you can't avoid. People don't pay attention nowadays, especially since we have brand new technology. We have these fancy radio things, and yeah, great, you have a touchscreen radio, but where your dashboard cluster is and your gauges also is where your radio is too. So you get to do whatever and skim throughout it. Your steering wheel has a lot of buttons, and I'm not trying to say that it won't catch you off guard, but there's a lot of things that'll catch a person off guard. There's an officer in our town, and what happened is the officer was approaching my friend, and she was in the middle. She had a really nice Hyundai vehicle. It was about the current year model. In front of her was a brand new, right off the line showroom Dodge Ram 1500. Very beautiful orange truck. You got to see pictures of all three vehicles that got totaled. Well, the officer wasn't paying attention. He was on his fucking laptop. Really, and I'm not trying to discredit him. He's a great guy, but he fucked up. He was on his laptop, rear-ended her, and then she rear-ended the Dodge truck. With that amount of force to push someone in back of another vehicle, that's a 3-car collision, that's a problem. And look, that alone is not good. And the funny thing is, that's our life today. A lot of officers get to put their cell phone to their head and drive around and call their wives and their kids and their friends and their fucking sergeant, whoever else, or their police buddies. "Yeah, man, I arrested a person today, blah, blah, blah." And that's what they get to do. They also get to text and drive on their cell phone. They also get to fuck around the computer while they drive. They're constantly distracted. And I understand, not trying to nitpick here, I'm trying to see the neutral side. I understand that over the years, they've had experience with this and they get to do some stuff. But again, on the YouTube video, this officer that was not paying attention hit this bicyclist. And the guy was like, "What the fuck, officer? Are you serious right now?" And talking about distracted drivers, here's a thing that my roommate doesn't like me talking about, is his personal life. And I'm going to piss him off, but I am making a point that I'm sure he'll understand. Well, he had this really nice 2004 red Honda Civic EX. Yeah, it was his fucking baby. And I even loved the car. He let me drive it. And I don't like manuals, but I was like, this is really nice. It's a fucking nice Honda. He used to crack Ricer jokes on him all the time before I got a Honda myself. Well, one day, he was driving down Tucson, and so Tucson a year ago or two, depending what date the video is on, well, people kept running red lights and stuff and kept getting tickets for red light cameras, and people kept getting pissed off. They retaliated against Tucson, so they quickly discontinued the light and traffic cameras. Well, he was driving through Tucson on his way back home, and out of nowhere, he had the green light. Dude ran a red light, and he T-boned the dude in the truck. I guess it was his mother's truck or some shit. And yeah, luckily my roommate walked away. There were shards of glass in his hand and stuff. He lost an ankle. I mean, they literally had to reconstruct his ankle. His ankle was fucked. And they said, would you like us to fuse it together? And he said, "No, I really just want to be able to use my ankle." And the guy was like, "All right, well, we'll do it this way. And then when your ankle gets really bad to where you can't walk on it anymore, come see us." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's cool." So yeah, again, he doesn't like me talking about this, but he walked away with a brand new Honda, a brand new house and property, and a lot of nice things from the showroom, from other dealerships and stuff. But at what cost? Like that's complete bullshit. I like him just the way he is. I never fucking moved into his house because he has all these nice things. And it's funny because his family says, "Oh, he's gonna run up your money and he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that." No, I never moved into his house because of these nice things. He just really wanted someone to live there to socialize with because he hates fucking being there alone. So I was like, you know what, dude, fuck it. I'll move in, hang out with you for a little bit, but just know I really want to get on my own feet and get my own place. And that's just the thing it is. So yeah, at what cost? I liked him just the way he was with his nice car and doing his own thing, being able to walk. But now he can't rollerblade anymore. He can't fucking ice skate. He can't ride bikes. It's not easy. It's not fucking easy in his shoes. Every time I go out to eat with him or hang out with him or go on a walk, he hobbles everywhere. I gotta walk 5 times slower with him because I feel fucking bad. Now I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. The license plates that's not from Arizona, fine, cool. You probably don't know about the move over law, but for fuck's sakes, you don't transport your gun to different states to go, well, I'm going to conceal my gun because blah, 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 and I don't have a CCW, but that's okay because I'm just going to go to Colorado. Guess what? Some parts of Colorado, if not Colorado in general, I don't remember, but they don't let you conceal your gun unless you have a CCW. Arizona, as long as you have an Arizona ID and you live here and you can conceal your gun because that's one of the laws that we passed back in 2010. I know we don't have emissions in Benson, Arizona, so you can hack the fuck out of your mufflers in your car and still get away with it, especially if you cut your headers off from the downpipe and then just say fuck it and run with it. But you're not going to do that in Tucson, right? You're not going to move to Tucson, hack up your mufflers, and at the end of the year, oh, emissions test, you got to bring in your car. Obviously, you're not going to fucking pass it because guess what they do? They have to make sure your car has emission equality things. Kind of makes no sense why Tucson has emission tests when Benson doesn't, because Benson's coaches,